What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Motivational Monday. We had our first Cincy Street Nights this past weekend, and that's where this is kind of going to come from. In life, we have circumstances that are beyond our control, and to try to get through that is really difficult. So I'm going to tell you a story, and then we'll go somewhere with it. So, like I said, this weekend we had our first Cincy Street Nights. It was going to be a really big race, and it was a really big race. It was an awesome race. We were paying $10,000 to the winner of Small Tire, and obviously to have a race in March in Ohio is literally like going to the casino. You really don't know what your odds are going to be. You're kind of gambling that they're going to be great, but Ohio weather is extremely unpredictable. You really don't know what you're going to get day to day this time of year. So Rob Wiley, in all his wisdom, he planned all the Cincy Street Nights this year based on the Farmer's Almanac. I don't know if it's going to work out for him, but that was the plan, to look at the Farmer's Almanac to see what the best dates and weather was going to be. Well, I am not a meteorologist. I'm not a weatherman. I do not study the rivers and the way that they work. I don't study the wind. I don't study any of this stuff. And the weather, when you're talking event planning, okay, an outside event, the way that a race is basically it's a big party for everybody but you. That's what it is. And you are trying to predict what the weather of that weekend is going to be like so that you can promote it accurately, you can promote it well, and you can get the biggest party that you can think of at this location without knowing exactly how it's going to be. In the weeks prior, you find yourself watching about 17 different weather apps, all with varying amounts of information, all that seem to never be correct, and then all that play with your heart. So one day you look and you get the bright sunny sky. The next day you look, there's like lightning and rain, and that goes back and forth when you're talking like 2 weeks out. So at one point, the weather for Cincy Street Nights actually looked awesome. I don't know what app that it was on, but it looked so good that Rob Wiley called me like a giddy little schoolgirl. He was so happy about the weather because I think it showed us sunshine on both Friday and Saturday. As we got closer to the event, that definitely changed. The weather went from pretty good to bad to maybe worse to okay to bad. It was just flip-flopping all the time. So by about Wednesday, and really before that, we knew Friday was not going to happen. There was just no way. It showed 100% chance of rain, and it had done that for days straight. But Saturday looked like, man, it was honestly going to be pretty decent. There was a chance of rain in the morning. It looked like that it was going to quit in like maybe 8 or 9 in the morning. We weren't going to race till later in the day. We're going to get this. We're gonna make it happen. So Friday comes around, and the constant question, and honestly, it wasn't even from me, it was from other people, was asking Rob, like, hey man, Edgewater literally, it is that name for a reason. It is sitting on the edge of the water of the Little Miami River. And I did see multiple people ask Rob, and I'm not picking on him because he's not a riverologist, asking Rob if the river was going to be a problem, and he's like, "Oh no, it'd have to rain for a long time, and it would really have to rain upstream." And I'm like, "Well, that all seems pretty logical to me. I'm with you," because I'm not an expert in that field. Well, Saturday comes around, we wake up. It's a beautiful day, man. The sun is out, it's bright blue skies. It was so pretty. I drive to the racetrack with just a smile on my face because we were going to get the drag race today. And then all the while you're like communicating with people to make sure that all the people that you have invited to the party knows that it's going to be okay and you're going to make it. Because even though you're not an expert meteorologist, they think that you are. I don't know why that works that way, but it does. So we get to the racetrack. And as I'm driving there, I start to see some problems. The Little Miami River is not so little anymore. And I've never seen this happen before. I went a different way to Edgewater, so I actually threw up my maps. Not that I've been there a million times. So my little map on my phone is, when I get off the exit to the racetrack, it says, "Warning, floodwaters may exist." Like, I've never seen that before, ever. So I'm driving to the racetrack, I'm just seeing the river just ridiculously high. So much so that I'm like, there's no way that this racetrack is not underwater. There's just no way. So we get there, and the weather is beautiful, man. It's beautiful. I drive down to the track. I'm always the optimistic one. I'm always looking for the brighter side of stuff. And there was some water on the return road. So we could no longer use the last turnoff you couldn't go off the last turnoff and then drive back up the return road, which is no big deal because they have like 4 turnoffs. We're only racing 8th mile. It's very easy to get shut down. We just won't, if you do by some chance have to go to the last turnoff, you could still go that far down the track. You just couldn't come back the return road. No big deal. I call Rick. Me and Ricky are both excited that the weather's perfect. I'm like doing Facebook Live. It's beautiful. Well, then all of a sudden, there's just tornado-like winds come in, man. I mean, it is really, really windy, like 40 to 50 mile an hour. Am I exaggerating that, Rick?
It was really high.
Like, tents are blowing. I mean, it's just bad. And I'm like, man, it is. But I'm like, man, no big deal. This racetrack, you're good. Come on, that's part of this. This is Todd, everybody. Say hi, Todd.
Hello.
You can just weld at your table while we're talking. You're good. Being the optimistic one, I'm like, man, this track's, the grounds are wet. This high wind, it's going to blow this out, dude. It's going to blow dry this area. This is like best case scenario. And then we kind of get a plan. We look at the weather. It's saying that the wind's going to die down. Again, you're like playing this game of telephone, that these people up here say it's going to be okay, and then you're listening to these people, and then it's just this trickle-down effect of what you think might happen and something that you totally and utterly cannot control. We're going to postpone driver's meeting a little bit. That happens. We were literally getting ready to do the driver's meeting. So there is about 300 people outside of our motorhome, and our team of people is inside the motorhome with developing a plan of how the race is going to go that night. Well, then the track owner comes to find me, and he's like, "Jason, we have a problem. We have had a breach." I'm like, what is this? What does that even mean? He's like, the Little Miami River came over the wall of the track. So I go down the end of the track, and sure enough, the Little Miami River has came over the wall of the racetrack and is now invading our privacy. It has came on to the track in a pretty big way, but it's only come up to the last turnoff. Again, we're racing 8th mile. We have plenty of shutdown in my mind. Again, I'm kind of the one that's like, we can fix anything. So I go down there, I look at it. We don't know when the river's gonna crest, which is a problem. So when does the thing that we can't control gonna stop? And everybody's looking at you for direction, and you are not an expert. You don't know what's gonna happen. So we have our meeting, tell the racers what's going on, and we're not sure if we're gonna be able to race at this point. Well, now, not only do we have all these racers here, but we've done a pretty fair job in promoting this drag race. So now there's probably 2,000 people there waiting for a drag race to happen. And you are on the verge and the edge of canceling it because you're just not sure. That is a mess. That is a mess. So we kind of stepped back and thought, we're like, okay, the weather's saying it's going to stop cresting at 5. Let's just see how far the river comes up, and then that's also when the wind should stop. So we kind of put everything on hold, and obviously there's mad people about that. Not really the racers, just spectators, just going back and reading comments and stuff. But these are people that are not about to go 150 mile an hour down this track and pull a pair. They are not. They have no idea what it takes to get one of these things down through there, nor what it takes to get them stopped. At around 5 o'clock, the river stopped. It stopped in its tracks. It actually maybe receded a little bit. I got our measuring wheel out. I measured how much distance we had from the 8th to where the last turnoff we could use, and then from the 8th to where the water was, which to the 8th to where the water was 1,800 foot, which is way more than what most tracks have. And also at that time, the wind stops. And it's a beautiful day. And the party that you've invited everybody to is about to happen. And we made it through all this stuff, all this stress, all these things, right? Well, in life, the things I found that we stress out most about are the things that we have zero control over. We can't control the weather. We can't control a river. We can't control the wind. Obviously, that goes along with weather, but we can't control any of those things. We were just along for Mother Nature's ride, and we had the illusion that we were in control. And everybody at that racetrack, not everybody, but most of the people thought that we were the ones in control. We're the ones that making decisions. No, we are making decisions based on the things that we could not control. For us, for this Motivational Monday, what that taught me and what my life has taught me is most people, they go through life thinking that they're in control. You're not. You're not. Because you're going to be affected by things that are beyond your control every day. You're going to get bad news that you can't control. You're going to get affected by a person that makes a dumb decision. You're going to all just name it, right? But our job as people is to take the things that we can't control and make the best out of them. Don't let the things that you can't control immobilize you where you can no longer move forward. There's this verse, it's in Romans, and it's talking about the frustration of the earth, and this is kind of interesting. For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice. So when it's talking about creation, it's talking about everything that God made. It is frustrated because of the decisions of other people. So we just want to challenge you. Obviously, other people's decisions, things you can't control, are frustrating. But when that happens, surround yourself by the people that will help you look beyond what you can't control and control yourself, because you is the only thing on this planet that you can control. And the way you react and the way you carry yourself is the only thing that you can control. We got the drag race off. We finished at 2 a.m. and we paid somebody $10,000. The old hate tank brought it home. So we love you. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see ya.